Morning, Market Chameleons and Dmitry. Happy Wednesday, buddy. How you doing?
Happy Wednesday, Will. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. So let's get started today. Before we get going, let's put up that disclaimer really quick, Will, and then we'll jump into what's going on in pre-market hours. So everyone, before we start, keep in mind, Will and I, we're Market Chameleon. We're not registered investment advisors. We're not broker dealers. We're not telling you what to do. We're just sharing ideas. If you need professional advice, call your registered investment advisor or call your broker. They should be able to help answer your questions or give you guidance. There's the disclaimer, everyone.
Awesome. I see we have some new chameleons on this morning. Listen, if it's your first time, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. And everyone, the like button down at the bottom, the thumbs up is always a big help for us. So thank you for joining everyone this morning. What are you seeing out there, Dima?
All right. Yep. Good morning, everybody. So I'll start out with we'll start out to see what's moving in the pre-market hours. I think I'll move on also today. Maybe we'll take a look at some unusual option volume. And I'm going to go back to that screener that we introduced yesterday, looking for call buy opportunities. So opportunities to buy calls. That's a new screener. So we'll do a couple more example screens and see what pops up in there if we get any new ideas. So if you're joining us for the first time today, let me just take a look. If you're joining us for the first time today, this is the pre-market report. These are stocks that are actively trading in the pre-market hours. We got the most active stocks, biggest percentage gainers, and biggest percentage decliners. Really quick, I'm just going to do a quick scan to see what's moving in the higher market cap stocks. So I'm going to use this filter, look at what, the market cap of $20 billion or more. So I screened this out. Nothing huge pops out at me. There's Siri, it's up 4%. Eli Lilly up 3.4%. Nothing very big, but we see here that there's 52 gainers on this list versus one decliner. So market breadth, the market looks very positive in the early morning hours. I'm going to unfilter this report really quickly, see what's popping up here. So I see here RAVE, small market cap stock, $7.9 million market cap stock, up 300%. I think there's some news on it that's in the restaurant business. And it looks like, I don't know, something they're hiring more people. So some good news out there, up 300%. I'm just going to take a look really quickly here. Probably these restaurants have been getting hit a lot. So we see here a close 51 cents near that 52-week low, trading $2.10 in the pre-market hours. So that's already getting close to that 52-week high of 285. Before we do that, let me just make another observation here that I wanted to show you guys. So before we get into it, like one of the things that I notice, and we've been doing this every day, and what's popping up in the pre-market hours, the theme, most of the bigger gainers in the morning we've seen. Which ones have we seen? Well, anything biotech's COVID related, and also more recently we've been seeing some of these alternative energy, clean energy type stocks.
Yeah, right? No, it is interesting. We talked about one yesterday and then looked at the whole, all its stocks in the similar sector. And this morning, two questions we have. One is about Ocean Power Technologies, which is up 33% this morning. I mean, it's a $2 stock, so it's up 70 cents. Yeah. Another one is Plug, which is, again, another type of alternative power technology company, battery company. So it is really interesting. These things are being chased by investors right now.
Right. So what I did was, because we've been seeing kind of these two sectors, biotechs with COVID, and also kind of like the cleaner energy with batteries, solar and stuff. So I in my watch list, I just went in and created some of the ETFs that would benefit from this. So it's very hard kind of with the COVID, you kind of get these biotech ETFs and see how they've been doing and if these big rallies hold up. So let's just take a look here. I'm going to go, let me go to my screener and see if I actually saved it on this. Let me see if I saved it to this version. So here's my COVID ETFs. So this is my ETFs where I'm trying to monitor biotech stocks that have stocks in there that might benefit from the COVID, from getting vaccines into COVID. And we could see here that even though we've been seeing a lot of them pop, it doesn't hold up. Here's in the last 2 weeks. I'm just sorting it by best performer. So we see here, this our genomic, so this is a biotech ETF. So you see some of these are just these biotech ETFs that potentially can, make something that to benefit from that COVID. But we see that as an industry as a whole, they might not all be winners, right? So it's hard to pick like who's going to be the winner of there. So we do see pops, and then we kind of see them coming back in. So who knows who's gonna win with this vaccine? Obviously, as a whole, they're all not going to be benefactors of this vaccine. So very hard to win on this one. Even as ETFs, you see they're not really holding their gains as much. They're gaining, but they're not like not these huge gains we've been seeing. Then I also created this alternative energy ETF, and the idea there is we've been seeing pops in these in the morning. And let's take a look at this one. This one's actually much more interesting. So the alternative energy ETFs, and these are stocks that are involved in cleaner energy like solar or battery operated. So let's just take a look at these. So there are 3 of them here, and you could see here that these gains are holding. So look at these 3-month gains. Look at these 6-month gains. And the idea there is, and we've been seeing some efforts now by legislators moving more and more toward we're talking about California. They're passing new legislation. They're looking for more clean energy. Maybe some of this is, kind of a forecasting potentially the election. But even if we see California, which is one of the biggest industry, right, one of the biggest economies out there, if other states start to follow suit and this starts catching up as a trend, clean alternative energy stocks as a whole can benefit, right? It doesn't have to necessarily be one company. It could be just that sector as a whole can start benefiting. So let me look at this one, TAN, which popped up at the top. This is the solar ETF. I'm going to go to that stock right here. Let me show you guys how this looks. So this TAN here, and really quickly, I'm going to just, before we look at this performance, I'm just going to take a look at like the top 10 holdings. So we see here, all these solar companies, SEDG, ENPH, RUN. This looks like a Chinese solar company, First Solar, Jinko Solar. So some of these you might even recognize as a Canadian solar. So let's just take a look at how this has been performing compared to the overall market. So you could see here just in the last 2 weeks alone. In the last 2 weeks, it's up almost 30%, 28.6% versus the SPY overall up 1.4%. So it's actually gaining steam right now in the most, with the most recent news. In the last 6 months, up 177%, compared to the SPY 27.5%. These are for an ETF. This is like a very huge percentage gains. Like that's a lot of money having to flow in there just to see those types of gains. And you could see that those gains are holding. It's not like just the one pop, one pop and then coming back in like we've seen with the COVID cases. And just to show you a chart, because this TAN, I used to look at it and follow it, but it was always a laggard to the point, like, sometimes you just follow, and it's been a laggard for so long, you kind of give up on it and stop watching it. But let me just show you like a 5-year chart of this TAN compared to SPY. So this is compared to the SPY chart. So you could see here in the blue, this is that solar ETF. In the red, that's SPY. And you could see for a long time, it's just the performance has lagged the overall market. And look how quickly right here, boom, right from down here and just crossed it really quickly. So we'll see. I think a lot of it has to do also just with the current news and the legislation, especially what's going on with California. Will, like, what were they? They're actually
Well, they're literally passing a law that the combustible engine can't be sold in new cars in 2035. So it's a long way out, right? But
still a
the
long
whole
way up, but it's the beginning, right?
in order to from an infrastructure standpoint, you have to create. I've heard numbers from as much as 50%, 20 to 50% more power is going to be needed if you're going to power every new car with electricity, which is the only other way, only competition right now is the electric vehicle.
Right.
So, and the power plants are already at max capacity. They're having brownouts and they've outlawed nuclear power. So you've got to come up with other, they're forcing other development. So we'll see. It's what, 15% of the car sales, something like that in the US. So,
Right.
and if other states follow, it's going to be interesting what
It'll be a bit
development.
And that's part of the Tesla Play electrical cars and so forth. And if they push that, what's next, right? What are they going to start pushing more and more towards, alternative cleaner energy type products, which, a lot of these companies right now may stand to make benefit greatly from it. At least that's what the market is starting to
Can you overlay Tesla on top of these graphs as well?
Yeah, so let's take a look at Tesla. So this is Tesla, Tesla's gain was so big. It also started over here, though, like probably in the beginning of the year, actually, but right there starting in March, which was, everything took a hit, obviously, and then with like starting right there in March, just took off, it's like almost like a really big spike up to the upside and still been there. So that's what the Tesla one looks like. So Tesla so far is, huge winner in that space, at least in like kind of the clean energy type space. We also saw some lithium, right? Like lithium batteries, people mining stocks, that companies that are mining for lithium starting to become big winners as well. So anyway, just wanted to show you guys how that looked like. Keep that in mind, something certainly to keep your ear to and see how that legislation develops. Is this like the beginning of something new, or is it going to be, if it's going to fade, it might fade, but if it's the beginning of something new, we'll see. Having said that, if there's no questions on that, and actually if there's no questions on the pre-market, because we spent kind of some time on this, I'm just going to move on to the other reports. Well,
yeah, we do have another question. Mike brings it up all the time, and he's in the markets. I know we touched on it a little yesterday. I don't know if you were able to research it, but he's asking about screening for weekly options. I guess he trades mostly weeklies.
Okay.
Could you just walk him through how to screen for week? He's looking to trade weeklies.
Okay. When he says weekly options, it's just trading a certain strategy. Like, is that like based on a like?
Well, Mike, you're hearing us. Get back to us with what you're looking to screen. He says for those who focus on earnings plays like myself, we should put in to add a filter that allows us to search stocks that have weekly options. So he's looking to somehow search stocks that have weekly options.
All right. So I'm going to go to the long call screener. So you could go to any screener here. So you could actually select which expiration you want to screen by. Here anything expiring October 7th, October 9th, October 12th. You could also just do any expiration expiring in the next 7 days. Now, one thing with weekly options, right? Weekly options just means there's a week or less to go before expiration. So if you have a option that was a month, it was a regular option and it only has 5 days to go, it's really like a weekly option, right? Because what you're saying is it's just basically days to expiration. You're looking at very short term. An option that doesn't have that much to go to expiration. So you could go right to the screener and just pick here, show me expirations expire within the next 7 days. You could do it this way. This way it lists you here October 9th, right? The next 2 days you could do, and it'll show you all the expirations that expire within the next 7 days, or you could just pick the expiration you want. You want to do like, October 12th, you just pick it and boom, these are all the options that expire on October 12th. So that's how you do it. So weekly is just telling you short-term options. That's what it's telling you, right?
Awesome.
Hopefully that.
And we can do that he's asking about earnings. So he can do that in the earnings screener as well, obviously.
Which earnings screener is he using?
He just says earnings screener, but
well, in any case, here, let's say, for example, he's looking at long call. You could just screen by, I'm looking for, October 12th expiration. I go here to the earnings and just say, show me all the stocks, expire October 12th, and the earnings is going to be before October 12th. So right here, you see how I clicked that before expiration. Yep. So far, October 12th, nothing. Let me see in the next 7 days. So here in the next 7 days, October 9th, DPZ has earnings. So these will be all the ones that have upcoming earnings in the next 7 days. If you want to do the next 14 days, I'm going to expand it. So we're not in the earnings season yet, but I think in the next 14 days, we might have more. So 394. So here, I'm going to do, show me ones in the next 14 days that have earnings. Show me the best by theoretical edge.
And this is, you're using right now the newest feature, the long call screener.
Long call, yeah. So any of these screeners will have the same.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just using one of the screeners as an example. So here, TSM, October 16th expiration earnings are going to be, it looks like the earnings are October 15th. See, I'm hovering over it. Will tell me that little E represents earnings are before expiration. So October 15th is earnings. Also, October 8th, they have an event coming up. JNJ, October 13th is earnings. So that October 16th is what covers the expiration. UNH, October 14th are earnings. They have an event October 15th. This is October 16th expiration. So this is really quickly how you could scan out, the shorter term options that cover earnings.
All right.
So in the next 7 days, there weren't that many.
While we're on that, let's just see. We got some interesting stocks here, JNJ. Let's show us the rest of the features within this long call. So
let me come back. I was going to do the unusual option volume, but I guess we could I guess we could. All right. You know what? Let's just stick on this because we don't have that much time. Let's just stick on this. So this is in JNJ, right? So in JNJ, earnings are October 13th. This is the October 16th expiration. This filtered out the October 16th 152.5 call, right? The stock's 146.24. So this option closed at 56 cents. We think theoretically it's worth 67 cents, giving you a 20% theoretical edge with a historical win rate of 18.8%. So if I open that up, what this is doing is looking at now, because this option is going to cover earnings, theoretically, it's going back and only looking at earnings periods with same days to go to expiration and the same days to go to earnings. So in the last 4 years, I have it set to 4 years of data. There's 16 observations, and this is what the stock did, in the last 16 observations. So you see from July 21st, July 9th, which covered the earnings and same amount of days, and the strike same distance away, the stock was up 5.1%. If that happens again, this option will be worth $1.18. The earnings before that, the stock was up 8.8%. If that does it again, this option will be worth $6.56. Before that, stock was up 1.5%. If that happens again, this option will be worth $0. So what it does is it calculates based on this historical distribution of returns around earnings. It's saying that on average, this option would be worth 67 cents. In other words, if you did the same this same strategy over and over in the last 16 earnings. On average, the end value at expiration would be worth 67 cents. And it would have been a winner, I think, what did it say? 18% of the time, right? So 18.8% of the time, it would have resulted in a profit. So that's really quickly how to look at it. Scan for just calls. Remember, this is just a buy call screener. So all these screeners we have separated. So it depends on your particular strategy. But this one is looking at JNJ, looking at this particular call. It's a 17 delta, theoretically what it's worth. So if you're, obviously you're taking a bullish outlook on JNJ, so you still have to have a reason that you think that there'll be a, it's more, you're more bullish than bearish going into that earnings. But
you're
that's
not going to win on this trade if you have a bearish output in JNJ.
Yeah, exactly. You think it's you have a bullish outlook, and this is kind of like, well, if you have a bullish outlook, this option gives you a little bit extra edge based on the historical return distribution. So that's in JNJ. Here we see, so remember, all these right now that I have set to the filter, these are based on shorter term options, next 14 days, and that these options are covering an earnings event. That's how I have it filtered right now. Okay, so you could see my filters here: earnings before expiration, show me expirations, everything the next 14 days, and I'm looking for positive theoretical edge, and I'm looking to show me the best within there, the best one by theoretical edge. So we have TSM, that's looking October 16th expiration, the 80 call. So that one's already $3 in the money. Options $4.45. We think theoretically it's worth 601 with a historical win rate of 62.5%. UNH, that's coming up with earnings. What do we say? October 14th. We're looking at the 340 call. So that's right now, that's pretty far out of the money right now, like 25 bucks. That option's $1.01. We think theoretically it's worth 226. That's 123% theoretical edge. Win rate here, 12.5%. So remember, the win rate is just the frequency of wins, the theoretical edge, that theoretical values, that's the average returns. JP Morgan, that's coming up, earnings October 13th. We're looking at the October 16th 94 call. That one's already in the money. So that option's $5.25. We think theoretically worth $6.33. That's a 20.5% theoretical edge. Win rate 50%. Probability of touch 81.3. Bank of America. So we're going to have a bunch of, we're going to kick off the season with a bunch of banks, right? Well, I think those are like the ones that are.
Yeah, started next week. JP Morgan, Bank of America, Morgan State, they're all coming out next week.
Yep. Bank of America, let's take a look there. October 14th expiration. So we're looking at the 25.5 call. That's a little bit over $1 out of the money. Option right now is 27 cents. We think theoretically it's worth 35 cents. So that's a 28.7% theoretical edge with a historical win rate 25%. So that's, that one traded like 5,000 contracts yesterday, that particular line. Let me just take a look at the open interest here. And here we see that these are the open interest on those particular options. So that could give you just an indication what other people are doing if they're, starting to create positions on that line. So we see like in JP Morgan, we got, or I'm sorry, this is Bank of America, open interest, 8,137 contracts. That represents 2.3% of the average daily option volume in the overall Bank of America. TSM, we have open interest there, over 20,000 contracts on this line, the 80 line, and that represents 47% of the average daily option volume there. So we see a lot of open interest on a relative basis on that TSM option. Here we go, BLK, that's 560. Let me see if I could find any other big ones here. So here, INFY, that's coming up with earnings. So this is the October 16th, 14 call. Open interest there, 6,193 contracts. And that open interest represents 552% of the average daily option volume there. So the way to look at that is, you know how people look at like what would it take to close out if they had to close out of all those positions, similar to like short interest, right? They'll say, well, short interest, days to cover, right? How many days to cover? If you have 5 million in short interest, and on average the stock trades 2.5 million shares per day, that's like 2 days to cover all of it. That's how they kind of benchmark it. So this is like a little bit similar, that if you have an open interest of 6,193 contracts, well, that's 500% of the average daily option volume. It would take you basically, 5 days of average daily option volume to close out of all those positions. So it's kind of like a similar concept. That's how we're looking at here. So you have the days to cover with short interest. This is like how much of that open interest represents the average daily option volume. Does that make sense?
Well, everyone, does that make sense to you? We got a little bit of delay, obviously, on YouTube Live. A yes would be helpful if you let us know, but it seems like it makes sense. D, no
Okay.
no's, so you're good to go.
Okay, so having said that, let's take a look at. I'm gonna unfilter let's just unfilter this and create a new screen. Okay, so let's look at options that expire next 30 days. And I'm going to look for ideas. I'm going to look for market leaders. So these are stocks that are leading the market higher. And the idea there is if they're, if they go down, the market will go down with them anyway. So stick with the market leaders. I think that's like a Jesse Livermore tip. But so I'm going to click on market leaders. Let's take a look at options that have a positive theoretical edge. Let's look at options, best by theoretical edge. And I'm going to screen for, let's screen for options that have a delta. I want it to be like close to either at the money or out of the money. So let's do, let me see, below 60 delta, right? So it'll be like 50, 40, 30 delta. Let's try that. So here we have a couple that, like an Apple. By the way, we didn't mention Apple is going to have an event coming up, right?
We did not mention that. There's and if you go to the event calendar, you'll see it. But there's on the 13th this month, we're showing at 1 p.m. But Apple is going to be, rumors are, showing their new 5G phone.
So here's Apple. Yeah, this is the options change. So over here, October 13th, special event. So this October 16th will cover that special event, and this actually will cover the special event too, the October 30th expiration. But that's coming in. What are they going to be showing, Will? The new 5G?
The 5G phone, correct.
Right. And I think that plays a big part into like Apple's current valuation, right? Because you're hearing rumors that once that 5G comes out, there's going to be a huge recycling of phones. Like the anticipation is that everybody, or almost everybody is going to go in and change their technologies to the new 5G technology. So that could be a huge event for Apple. I mean, is that what you're hearing?
That could be it. I also know Apple, which is amazing, for anything on the App Store that you pay for, yeah. 30% of that price goes to Apple, which is probably a pretty good revenue source as well.
Oh, like any apps that they sell for their phone and stuff?
Any apps that they sell on the App Store.
Oh, yeah. Like, they have like huge revenue. I think that Google pays Apple. I think I read, like, I don't remember if it's still happening, but I think Google is paying Apple like $1 billion a year so they could be the search engine for on the iPhone. So like when you use your iPhone, start searching. I think Google's paying them like a huge amount to be that search engine, the default search engine on the iPhone. So they have like huge revenue sources from just that from that device. It's not just hardware for sure. Anyway, but that's coming up with an event here. So what did I screen? So I screened for market leaders, for looking for calls with theoretical edge, for a delta that's below 60 delta or below. Let's filter out ones that have earnings. So let's just say that they don't have earnings coming up. All right, so the ones that don't have earnings coming up, we got Amazon here, October 23rd, the 3040 strike, 60 delta. That option is, these are really high priced options. $159.45. We think it's worth $193.77. That's 21% edge with a historical win rate of 45.2. This is PayPal, PYPEL. We're looking at the October 16th, 2010 strike call. That option is 46 cents. We think it's worth 101. That's a 12.9% historical win rate. DHR, really quickly, what is this stock again? It's in the healthcare industry. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just read about it really quick. Into industrial for manufacturing company. Not sure here, but DHR, that's the October 16th expiration 220 call. We're almost at the money. That option is $3.45. We think it's worth $4. That's a 16% edge with a historical win rate 36.5%. AMD, looking at the October 23rd expiration, the 100 call. That option's 42 cents. We think it's worth 77 cents. That's an 84% theoretical edge with a historical win rate 10.5%. So those are just market leaders that aren't expecting to report earnings within this expiration. And we're looking for positive theoretical edge deltas, 60 delta or below. So we're kind of looking at the money options or out of the money options. Anyway, we're headed right up against the bell. Any last questions, Will?
I think you're good, D. Hey, Chameleons, thanks for joining us. Dima, great job. This is a screener everyone should be taking advantage of. Everyone have a safe trading day. Any final words for the Chameleons, D?
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Have a great trading day. Hope to see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for all the support and all your questions.
Keep them coming. Remember to use the forum. If we didn't get to any of your questions today, put them on the forum. We try to be as responsive as possible. And there are other Chameleons who can answer your questions as well. All right, everyone have a great, safe trading day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye, D.
Bye, everyone.